So this is the third episode from The Alchemist Apprentice, A Mind That Matters. We bring forth what we gaze upon. So I explained earlier how the first principle is being singular is very, very important. Like, for example, you can only serve one God. You can't serve God and money. You can only serve one. But the second principle, the number two, is also how you operate. You can't be just one thing. Sometimes you have to be hot, sometimes you have to be cold. Sometimes you have to do things for yourself, sometimes you have to do things for others. So there's a dual nature in how you operate. Now, especially with the third principle, number three. So if you look at relationships, for example, it's like a three-legged stool. You can stand on that stool, you can sit on it, but if you lean too far to one side or the other, it's going to fall because it only has three legs, so it makes it a little bit less stable than if it had four. But three is a very, very special number because you can say it's how things began, like in nature. The same thing as it is in psychology or your personal relationships. Now, there is a principle that comes from Machiavelli, the author of The Prince. And it goes like the lion, the fox, and the lamb. So if you're just one of those things, it's not good enough. Like the lion, it is always very, very strong. So some situations, you have to show a strong force, have a presence, so people will treat you with respect. Now, the fox is very, very smart. So in some situations, force alone isn't going to help you. Your strength can only take you so far. So you have to be smart. You have to be crafty. And Jesus even told his disciples when he sent them out, be as wise as serpents. You have to be clever. You have to be smart as well as strong. So the third one is the lamb. Now, most people think about it as like, well, what do you need a lamb for? Lamb is weak. But in some situations, you're always going to face somebody stronger than you. Like, what if you're, example, get pulled over by an angry cop who's just looking to tase and beat someone's ass? Are you going to mouth off to him, get dragged out of your car and get beaten up for absolutely no reason? Or are you going to be soft and, I'm sorry, officer, I'll do whatever you say? You play the lamb. It's strategic. So the lion, the fox, and the lamb, these three things together, if you combine them together, if you're always strong, always smart and crafty, but at the same time, that there's always going to be somebody stronger and better than you. So you have to be very, very smart. So there are other ways that you can use this principle, like in business, for example. Well, as Machiavelli said, is it better to be loved or to be feared? He was wrong, because people, they need to fear you, but they don't need to necessarily love you. They need to like you, though. If you're doing business with somebody, for especially, they need to like you. And they also need to respect you, because if they don't respect you, they'll walk all over you. And they need to fear you, as far as fear your wrath. Should they do something stupid to cross you or to piss you off, there's going to be consequences. So people need to like you, they need to respect you, and they need to fear you. You take away just one, and the other two are worthless. They're not good enough. And then the last one. I come into many situations where people are like, there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. For example, I can lead, I can follow, or I can go by myself. It all depends on the situation I'm in. So some situations I find myself where everyone's running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Nobody knows what they're doing. So I'll step in. I'll take charge. Everybody follow me. I'm in charge right now. I'm the leader. And other times, someone else is better than I am. So it's my situation. I'm no longer in charge. I will follow another person. I'll play their second, play the assistant. Or even if it's a third or a fourth position, I don't care. As long as I'll find my place in the system and I'll do my best to help further the goal, even if I'm not necessarily in charge at that time. So I can lead or I can follow. And some things you have to do by yourself. You come across a problem, you come through like Jack Bauer, take care of business. Even if you're all alone, it doesn't matter. You're not always going to have people underneath you, not always somebody that you're going to help. Some things you just have to do alone. Now, if you do find yourself in a leadership position, there's three ways you can lead. You can lead from the front, which is like Napoleon. You can lead from behind. You can look like Xerxes from 300, sitting on his throne, telling him, you do this and you do that. And then the third way is from the side. So Napoleon had a prime minister, a man by the name of Talleyrand. Now, Talleyrand is pretty much a genius, because it was Napoleon who led from his troops from the front. But there was somebody behind the scenes, which is Talleyrand, which was always pulling him like a string on a puppet. Napoleon was only in charge for 10 years. 5 were good, and then 5 were bad, and then he was exiled. And that was it. Now Talleyrand, he died an old man. You know, he lived through the French Revolution. He lived through multiple monarchs taking their throne, and then it would change hands, and he always ruled from the side. You know, he never ever got taken out. He was always one step ahead of his opponents because he knew how to lead from the side. So sometimes you have to understand that, you know, there are three styles. Number three, like I said, is very, very important. And that's the end.